welcome to the studio tonight. So tonight we are going to do a quick comparison between the paints in my regular travel sets. I use it in the studio, I use it everywhere. These are M-gram paints and my new Winsor Newton travel paint Sketchers box. Here it is right here. You may have seen in the last video I opened these up and we did a quick color swatch of all of these. Today we're going to pull the paints out, see what the opacity is, see what the transparency is, see how they blend from you know, a full color all the way down to a light wash. We're going to see how all that goes on. I got it set up right behind me. I'm ready to go. I hope you're ready to go. Let's do it. Okay, so here we are. Here we have both of these, mine and the Winsor Newton one. Now I went through to try and find all of the common colors that I have in both the M-gram paints and the Winsor Newton paints over here. And I've got a few. I've written, well, several of them out on these sheets, and then we're going to do a couple of other pulls of just blank ones on here just to get a general overview, a feeling of how these are working out. There is one thing I noticed right away. I don't know if you guys can see it. The Meeden tin, maybe I can flip it up this way. You can see it when this folds down, it doesn't go down all the way. It kind of stands up so that if I set it down, this is still up in the air. You can hear it's not touching the tabletop. Whereas with my Winsor & Newton, if I could open it at all, there we go. Look, it folds down a lot further. I mean, way down. And I'm hoping, let's see, if I open it up, yeah, you can totally hear it hit against the table. Oh, come on. There it goes. You totally hear that. I'm hoping that when I'm using this, if I'm holding it like this, the colors don't run down and out this little hole and then drip on whatever I have out here, probably my feet. But we'll see how that one goes. I kind of like the Meeden one because I can set it in front of me this way, have my full pans here, or my full palette here, and then the wells kind of run away from me, but the whole thing stands up and I can see it really well. This one I think I'll have to use this way so that the water runs down into these and then that sits flat in the back. But I guess we'll figure that out as we go. So let's see, I've made a couple of sheets here, and this is what I'm hoping to do. I put up some new lights. I can see my shadow of my head going in there. I'm going to have to be really careful about that. So I made some sheets that we're going to do a comparison on. On this one I've got permanent alizarin crimson, cerulean ultramarine blue, and Payne's gray. And I thought we'd do some draws down here on both sides so we can see what it looks like at full strength, and then bleed it out all the way to nothing down at the bottom, and then we can see the opacity as it goes down. And as it turns out, when I put this set together, I didn't have any permanent alizarin crimson in the M-gram, but I have some now. I'm just going to drop a little bit of that right into here, and we'll use that. Now, you already noticed that it's not an apples to apples comparison, but it's not apples to watermelon either. So these ones are all tube paints. In these are all filled up with tubes, so they're going to wet a little bit more easily than will these. But you know, they're super high quality paints, so we shouldn't have any real problem with it. It should be, let's see, right after the Winsor Red, which is that one, so we're going right here. They should wet up real nice and get nice and soupy right away, so we can see what is what. I'm going to do, since I have Winsor Newton on this side, I'm going to do everything on this side of my line. Will be Winsor & Newton. So I'm going to grab that. Whoop. Yeah, I say everything on that side. Okay. Oh, This is starting out great. Let me do this again. Let's put some color here. I've already gone over the line and everything. This is fantastic. All right. So adding a little water to my brush, and I'm going to pull that down. A little bit more water. Just going to keep pulling that down. We'll see how it goes. We're almost at nothing down at the bottom. I'm hoping you can see that. Let me see if I can move those up even further to get that kind of right in the middle. There we go. I think that'll be better. And then my permanent alizarin crimson, trying to get it the same consistency, or roughly the same consistency, from my M gram set. And we'll just pull that right on down like that. And just let that continue to come right on down. That should be a fairly good comparison. Let's do some cerulean blue. I know that's this one right there. Let's see how it looks. Is it full enough? Let's get it just a little bit wetter. Nice. Oh, that's nice and soupy. There we go. Just let that come straight on down. And a little bit more. It is turning just a little bit purple down at the bottom, if you can see, and I'm sure that's because not quite all of the red has come out of my brush. I've done this. Let's see. Here's my cerulean from M gram. And already we can see that the cerulean from the Winsor and Newton, I'm going to zoom in on this in just a second. I'm going to finish these couple of more up, and then I'll pick this up and we'll take a quick look at it. But already I can tell the cerulean on the Winsor Newton is much more granular. Let's see, my French ultramarine here, which in the Winsor set I really like. There we go. Let's just pull that. I might have got a little aggressive there. Well, I did say I like the color, so I guess I'm pulling that one way down. Wash that brush out. There we go. That'll give us a nice bleed all the way down there. And ultramarine for M gram. Let me just wet that. There we go. I like this too. It's just, I don't know, it's not quite as nice. I should say, I noticed that my head has kind of cast a little bit of a shadow in the video already. I'm trying to stand off to the side as I do this. If that seems terrible, or if my shadows in here seem bad or worse than normal, let me know. Leave a comment down below. Down below. I just got some new lighting in here, and I'm still kind of struggling with where I want to put it. So, 2, 3, 4. So, a little bit of feedback would be greatly appreciated. I didn't like the, I don't know how much anybody saw of the old lighting in my studio. It was basically just bare light bulbs hanging from the ceiling, and I couldn't watch it. I couldn't take it anymore. It was horrible. But now I've got some nice lights. The wires are tucked up there, or are going to be tucked up there, all of them, pretty soon. And it gives me some nice light, but I've got one right up above me here. Where am I at? Where am I pointing at? Right up above me there. And I think my big fat head is getting in the way. And I don't really want that to happen, so I might have to move that a little bit. All right, almost done with this sheet, so we won't drag this on too long, but I definitely want to want to take a look at this. Let me hold this up for us all to see. Now, it's not quite dry yet, of course, but let's see, where are we at? Whoa, right there. You can see, it's funny because the alizarin crimson for my M. Graham paints looks kind of granular, really granular. It has a nice transition all the way down. And the permanent alizarin crimson on the Winsor Newton looks really kind of pinkish when it gets down here. Whoops, there we go. But the cerulean blue, the Winsor Newton looks much warmer to me. This M. Graham looks cooler. And then here's the ultramarine. You can see, and the Payne's gray, of course, is still quite wet. Let's just set that aside, but I want you to see that one. Here's a couple of more colors. So I know that my olive green in my M. Graham is going to be a lot different than the olive green in the Winsor Newton set. But just check this out, how much different this is. Right, it's quite a bit different. So there's olive green from M. Graham, and you can see it's nice. It's a nice color. I would call that kind of olive drab. But the olive green here, consequently, I don't know if I'd eat an olive that was that color. That's just like an army green. But look at the olive green in the Winsor Newton set. Now that would be the color of a nice, tasty olive, I think. If you like green olives. If you don't like green olives, well, it wouldn't taste so. It doesn't look like it would taste so great, but it's, you know, it's still a nice color, I guess. Ew, there we go, and straight on down. And I know that sap green is a bit different too. Let's grab that. There we go, sap green, and that's on this side. A nice, vibrant green there. Beautiful color. All the way down to nothing. Let's pull some of that paint down. There we go. In the sap green over here in the M. Graham set, I should say I'm not the wildest fan of the greens in the M. Graham set. They do better with other colors, but they're not my favorites. And you can see side by side the two here are, I hope you can see, the sap green in the Winsor is so much brighter than the sap green in the M. Graham set. In the olive green, it's more alive, more lively, but we're going to pick that up in just a second. Another color I want to do here is Viridian, and if you saw my unboxing video, for a lack of a better word, of this set, the Winsor Newton set, I really had a lot of trouble with Viridian. I just couldn't get it to come out in any strength. Consequently, on here, it's like, you know, a half a degree lighter than everything else, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to give it a good scrub here with a little bit of water on it. There we go. That's better. It's not great, but it's better. Let's pull that down, and I have a Viridian. Oh, I had a Viridian. I have a Viridian here in a tube of M. Graham. There we go. And again, this is fresh out of the tube. It's not the greatest comparison. There we go. Side by side, it looks like I've coaxed quite a bit of color out of my Winsor Newton paints over here. More than it seemed like it was doing before. There we go. That's pretty good, I think. Right? And what else do I have that's common? Yellow ochre right here. The neighbor. I'm expecting this one to be fairly opaque. I believe that in the M gram set it's pretty opaque. I think most of the yellow ochres are a little opaque. Let's see, where's my yellow ochre over here? There it is. Yeah, you can see it doesn't let a whole lot of that at full strength. It doesn't let a whole lot of that color shine, or the pen below shine through. And what's the other one I have? I have burnt umber, which is right next to my Payne's gray, which is right here. Lovely, lovely color. There we go. Looks like I might have gotten just a little bit of the Payne's gray into that, but we'll go with it. And I got a few bubbles in there too. I don't want those. Come on, get out of there, bubbles. There we go, right on down. And burnt umber. I do have burnt umber in this set. Here it is, right there. Just bring that right on down like that. Let me pick this one up. And this is why, there we go, this is why I like the Winsor Newton set for so many of these. The olive green is so much more lively. Look at, and it pulls down, it's very nice. Actually, I should say, both of the colors are very nice. You can't do wrong with either of these. These are so nice. But look at the olive green on the Winsor one and the sap green on the Winsor one are just so much more alive to me than the bit duller sap green and olive green from M gram. But I do really like the M gram yellow ochre a lot better. I think it's a notch above. It's got more yellows. And I think M gram really does do yellows really well. And then when I put the paint on, when I first put it on, I thought the burnt umber for the M gram was a bit duller, but now as we're drying, I'm not so sure. But the burnt umber for the Winsor Newton definitely has more of an orangey flavor to it. But we got some there. Okay, so, but what I didn't do, because I don't have a direct analog, is any of the Winsor yellow or the Aurelian or Winsor orange or a couple of the reds, because I don't have anything that's direct there. So I'm going to do a couple of these that are something very similar, if not the same thing. So I'm going to do right here Winsor orange. Okay, I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to do a comparison between that one, which is right here, Winsor orange, I'm going to let that pull out, come on, just all the way right on down, tap my brush out, get a little bit of that moisture off of there. There we go. And on the M gram side, I'm going to use gamboge, which is a really nice yellowy, orangey yellow, I guess I should say. But you'll see, it's not a true comparison because it's not it's not the same color, but it's pretty close. We'll get to see some of the same stuff. We'll get to see how it comes out. Let's see, what else do I want to do here? I think I want to do Winsor Violet, which I believe is this one. Yep. Do Winsor Violet. Wow, that is dark. Dark, dark, dark. Wow, there's a lot of pigment in that. But it spreads very nicely down there. And I want to do Cobalt Violet. Now, Cobalt Violet is going to be, by its nature, a shade lighter. There you go. So it doesn't have quite as much of that dark blue in it, but I think we can see how it looks in comparison. Do a general comparison between the two. I'm going to do Winsor Blue, which is right here. There we go. Winsor Blue, which is a beautiful bright blue. Fantastic. The bright. If you saw that in the sky, that blue in the sky, you'd go, holy cow, that is going to be a great, great day. And I'm going to use that against my phthalo blue here from the M gram side. There we go. I'm going to pull that out, and I hope that's going to be close. It's not going to be perfect. And should we do any more? What do we want? Let's see. I'll do a Prussian blue. That'll be a good one, I think. Prussian blue. Nice, strong, dark blue. If nothing else, we'll get to see what some of the different blues look like from this kit. There we go. Just let that go down to almost nothing there at the end. And I'm going to do that against my, oh man, the name Anthroquinine Blue in my M gram set, which is the closest analog I have. It's a nice, powerful, strong blue from M gram. There we go. Just bring that on down to nothing down here at the bottom. That was very, very strong. And I think I'm going to do permanent rose, which should be this one. Hang on, I got a little bit of my Winsor Violet in there. Let's get that off. Permanent rose, which should be that one. That's it. That's permanent rose. And I'm going to do that against my quinacridone rose, which should be fairly close. Let's see, quinacridone rose is this one. The quinacridone rose is just a rose that has a fully synthetic pigment in it. I believe somebody might be able to correct me on that. But I think all the quinacridones have a fully synthetic pigment in them. As a result, they have slightly different qualities than the other pigments that are out there. So, okay, let me bring up the first one. It should be mostly dry. It's not completely dry. But I'm going to set it down here so I don't have to lift it up. Let me move these to the side, and then I can zoom in a little bit here. Whoa! Which way am I going? There we go. Okay, so as I'm looking at this, the permanent alizarin crimson, and again, you know, take it for what it's worth. I use the M gram paints because it was convenient for me, and I do like those, but I do really like the Winsor Newton set. And when I look at this permanent alizarin crimson from the M gram set is just a little duller. Maybe it has a little bit of maroon in it. And the permanent alizarin crimson on the Winsor Newton set, I think, is a little bit more lively. It's got a little bit more pink in it. And our cerulean on the Winsor Newton side, it's still holding up a lot of that granulation in there. I should say I'm using B paper. It's fairly flat, fairly smooth, so there aren't a whole lot of pockets and divots for it to get caught in, but it's still there. If you like that granularity, the Winsor Newton is a lot better, but the Winsor Newton also is a little bit more red than, to me, looking than the M gram ones. And our ultramarine, the ultramarine from M gram is a fantastic color. Also, it's a fantastic color on the Winsor Newton side. I happen to like the Winsor Newton color just a little bit more, though they are very close. And our Payne's gray here, they definitely have two distinct colors. This one seems, the M gram one seems a bit warmer. Maybe like it looks like maybe there's a little bit of yellow into that one that is missing in the Winsor Newton one. So there's that. And then let's take another quick review of our green and ochres here. And our olive green, again, this is the olive green, the sap green just seem more alive. The Winsor Newton greens to me just are much more lively than the olive green or the sap green from the M gram. But they both pull down very nicely. A nice even pull, even down here where there's not much pigment, they still look fantastic. The Viridian, actually I'm a little surprised. I like the Viridian of the M gram paints just a little bit more, but both of them look very good. And I'm a little dubious of this one in the Winsor Newton set because it was so hard to get out of that pan. The yellow ochre, I said it before, I really like the yellow ochre that is in the M gram set. And I told you it was going to be a little opaque, but as it's dried, it's not quite as opaque as I thought it was going to be. It's more opaque over here in the Winsor and Newton side. And the burnt umber, I don't know, you can see my bubbles that were in there. They made a couple of little marks, but the burnt umber on the M gram side seems maybe not quite as alive. Maybe they've mixed a couple of additional colors. Oops, I got a little wet paint on there. In the Winsor Newton, but that's okay. They're both fantastic. And then here's our ones that, of course, we just did. They really didn't have a whole lot of time to dry. Maybe they're dry way down at the bottom, but they're certainly not up at the top. And these ones aren't the direct analogs of each other. But you can see this gamboge for the M gram paints it's just fantastic. And the Winsor orange here really is nice. A nice bold color up here, a nice light orangey color, and comes down here and it's so pale down here at the bottom. The Winsor violet, this surprised me a little bit. I didn't think it was going to be that dark. That is quite dark, but as it pulls down, it really lightens up. And it looks like probably it's pretty opaque up here. The cobalt violet started out as a lighter color. There's nothing I could have done about that to get a purple on here, and it's very light. When I use the cobalt violet in my travel tin, I always find that I want more pigment in that, but that's a factor of the paint itself, and not that it doesn't have enough pigment in it. Here's our Winsor blue, which is such a beautiful color and just blends so well all the way down. And we did over here the phthalo blue. It's nice. It's a little bit redder, a little bit darker maybe. Our Prussian blue, I got a bit of a back run here. Actually, it's kind of a nice back run when you look at it. Nice and dark. And our anthro blue on this side, nice and dark also. More red in this. This Prussian blue, even though it's so dark, man, does it look like it's got a lot going on in it to me. And then our permanent rose and our quinacridone rose, as they're drying up, if I look down here, boy, they look really similar. I'll bet you when they dry totally, they're going to be very, very close to the same. Only I know the quinacridone, that's a completely synthetic pigment, and I don't know what it is in a permanent rose, but looks really nice. Anyways, that's it. That's my quick comparison of the two. The Winsor and Newton set. Here it is. Here's all the colors that I've got in there. Let's see, something like that. There's all my colors in that one, and the go-to that I've been using for a couple of years now, the M gram set. Now I've got two to choose from. I don't know what I'm going to do. I probably will move over and use the Winsor Newton for a short time to get used to it, to see how I like it, but I don't ever think I'm going to get too far away from these. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. We'll find out. I hope you come along with me for the journey. I hope you enjoyed seeing this little bit of paint, how the two compare to each other. We'll see you next time in a video. Until then, have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.